There are many who wander through life like leaves in the wind, carried this way and that by the opinions of others, the pressures of the world, and the fleeting pleasures of the moment. Their thoughts are scattered, their convictions weak, and their minds burdened by endless noise. They give themselves to everything but themselves. Yet there is another way, a higher path, a greater discipline. It is the path of self-focus, the path of cultivating the mind with diligence, the path of strengthening the inner man so that no storm can shake him. The mind of the distracted man is like a turbulent sea, restless and tossed about by every passing wave. He is drawn in 1,000 directions, his thoughts scattered like leaves before the wind. He cannot hold fast to a single idea, nor can he discern truth from falsehood, for his mind is too cluttered with the noise of the world. But the one who turns inward, who commits to the discipline of self-reflection, begins to quiet the storm within. He gathers his thoughts, orders them with wisdom, and cultivates a mind that is steadfast and unwavering. In this stillness clarity is born, and in this clarity strength arises. Consider the power of an uncluttered mind. When distractions are cast aside, when the unnecessary is stripped away, what remains is a mind that is sharp, focused, and resolute. Such a mind does not jump from one fleeting desire to another, nor does it waver between truth and falsehood. Instead, it sees with precision, recognizing what is real and discarding what is mere illusion. The world seeks to pull a man in every direction, filling his thoughts with trivialities, tempting him with endless diversions. But the one who chooses to focus on himself, who chooses to cultivate his own understanding, finds himself no longer at the mercy of these distractions. He has set his mind like a fortress, and nothing shall shake it. The strength of a clear mind is not merely in its ability to think, but in its ability to decide. How many are paralyzed by indecision, their thoughts entangled in endless confusion. They hesitate, unsure of what to believe, unsure of what path to take. But the one whose mind has been sharpened through self-discipline sees with certainty. He does not waver between two opinions, for he has trained himself to recognize what is true and what is false. When faced with a choice, he does not stumble in doubt, but rather moves forward with confidence, knowing that his judgment is sound. This clarity is a rare and precious thing, for it grants a man freedom from deception. The world is filled with falsehood, and many fall prey to it because their minds are weak, their vision clouded. They believe every voice that speaks loudly, every claim that is repeated often. But the one who has focused on himself, who has examined his own thoughts with diligence, is not so easily deceived. He does not accept a thing simply because it is spoken with authority, nor does he reject a thing merely because it is unpopular. Instead, he weighs every word, considers every idea, and arrives at truth through reason, not through impulse. And what is the reward of such mental clarity? It is peace. A troubled mind is one that is divided, pulled in conflicting directions, unable to find rest. But the mind that has been ordered and strengthened is a sanctuary, a place of stillness even in the midst of chaos. The man who possesses such a mind does not live in confusion, nor does he spend his days in regret. He sees with clarity, acts with purpose, and walks in the assurance that his thoughts are his own, untouched by the distractions of the world. In this he is free, and in this he is strong. Emotions are like the winds that blow upon the sea, sometimes gentle and refreshing, at other times fierce and uncontrollable. Many are like small vessels upon these waters, tossed to and fro by every gust of feeling. One moment they are lifted by the winds of joy, the next they are cast down into the depths of sorrow. Fear overtakes them like a tempest. Anger consumes them like a raging fire. They live not as masters of their own souls, but as captives to whatever emotion seizes them in the moment. But the one who has turned inward, who has learned to know their own heart, is not so easily shaken. They do not drift aimlessly upon the tides of feeling, but rather they hold the helm, steering their soul with wisdom and control. To master one's emotions is not to suppress them, nor is it to pretend that they do not exist. It is to understand them, to recognize their presence without allowing them to dictate one's course. A man of wisdom does not deny that fear grips his heart at times, but he does not allow it to paralyze him. He acknowledges the fire of anger when it flares up, but he does not let it burn unchecked. He feels sorrow, but he does not let it consume him. His emotions are like wild horses, strong and powerful, yet bridled and directed. He does not allow them to run unchecked, lest they trample his peace and lead him astray. Instead, he holds the reins, guiding them where they should go. How many have been led into ruin because they could not master their emotions? How many friendships have been broken? How many words spoken in haste? How many regrets carried for a lifetime? All because a moment of anger was not restrained, a wave of fear was not calmed, a sorrow was not put into its proper place. The undisciplined heart is a dangerous thing. It is like a city without walls, open to any invading force. But the heart that is guarded and well ordered is a fortress that no enemy can easily breach. He who has mastery over himself is stronger than the one who conquers cities, for he has won the greatest victory, a victory over his own passions. Fear is the great thief of courage, the shadow that seeks to overtake every good endeavor. The fearful man hesitates when he should act. He retreats when he should stand firm. His mind is filled with what-ifs and endless doubts. But the one who has trained his emotions does not allow fear to rule him. He may feel its presence, but he does not bow to it. He has learned to face it, to look it in the eye, and to press forward in spite of it. He knows that fear is not a master, only a messenger, one that he may acknowledge, but need not obey. Anger, too, is a dangerous companion if left ungoverned. It flares up quickly, promising strength and justice, but often delivers regret and destruction. The foolish man speaks before he thinks, acts before he reflects, and later laments the damage he has caused. But the one who has mastery over his emotions does not let anger dictate his words or his actions. He pauses, he considers, he measures his response. He may feel anger, but he does not allow it to rule him. His strength is not in his outburst, but in his restraint, not in his shouting, but in his ability to remain composed when others have lost control. And then there is sorrow, the weight that presses upon the heart, the shadow that dims the brightest day. The one who has no rule over their emotions sinks beneath its weight, withdrawing from life, allowing grief to define them. But the one who has mastered themselves does not deny sorrow, nor do they allow it to consume them. They weep, but they do not despair. They grieve, but they do not give up hope. They have learned to carry sorrow without being crushed by it, to walk through darkness while still holding on to the light. This is the strength of the one who understands their own heart. They are not ruled by their emotions, but neither are they without feeling. They have found the balance, the wisdom to let emotions exist without allowing them to reign. In this mastery they stand firm, unshaken by the tempests of life. Strength is often mistaken for outward power, muscles that bend iron, voices that command attention, or authority that bends others to its will. But true strength is not found in these fleeting displays. It is not in the noise of a man's shout, nor in the force of his hand, nor in the might of his possessions. No, true strength is quieter, deeper, and far more enduring. It is the unseen force that holds a man steady when the world around him shakes. It is the depth of character that does not crumble under the weight of adversity. It is the quiet resilience that allows a man to rise again after every fall. And where is this strength cultivated? Not in the applause of the world, not in the fleeting affirmations of others, but in the hidden places of the soul, where a man meets himself in honest reflection. A mighty tree does not gain its strength from the branches that stretch toward the sky, nor from the leaves that rustle in the wind. No, its strength is in its roots, roots that burrow deep into the earth, unseen, unnoticed, yet essential. When the storm rages and the winds howl, The trees with shallow roots are the first to fall. But the tree whose roots have reached deep into the soil remains unmoved. So it is with the soul. Many seek to strengthen themselves by external means, by seeking validation, by relying on circumstances, by building an image that others admire. Yet when trials come, when the winds of hardship blow, they are quickly uprooted, for their strength was never truly their own. But the man who has turned inward, who has examined his own heart, who has learned to stand alone, he is like the deeply rooted tree. He may bend under pressure, but he will not break. It is in solitude that this strength is forged. A man who never pauses to reflect, who never takes time to examine his thoughts, his choices, his beliefs, such a man is like a builder, who constructs his house upon shifting sand. He may build quickly, he may build impressively, but when the storms of life come, his foundation gives way. But the man who has spent time in the quiet, who has searched his own heart, who has confronted his own weaknesses and strengthened his convictions, his foundation is a solid rock. He does not crumble in the face of difficulty, because his strength was not built in the moment of crisis, but in the long years of silent preparation. Many fear solitude because it forces them to face themselves. In the noise of the world one can avoid difficult questions. One can hide behind busyness, behind distractions, behind the opinions of others. But to sit alone with one's thoughts, to truly reflect upon who one is, what one desires, what one believes, that is the work of the strong. It is there in the quiet chambers of the soul that a man wrestles with his doubts, confronts his fears, and emerges stronger. Just as the tree does not grow its roots in a single day, neither does inner strength appear overnight. It is cultivated through seasons of introspection, through moments of honest self-examination, through the choice to face rather than flee from the truth. And what is the fruit of this hidden strength? It is the ability to endure what others cannot. When the world turns against a man, when hardship falls upon him, when the road ahead is uncertain, the weak man collapses, for he has no strength beyond what others have given him. But the strong man, the one who has built his foundation in the depths of his own soul, stands firm. His peace is not dependent on circumstances. His confidence is not borrowed from the praise of others. His resolve does not waver when the path grows difficult. He has trained himself to endure, and so he does. This strength also gives a man independence. He is not easily swayed by the changing tides of opinion, nor is he desperate for the approval of the world. He walks his path with assurance, not because he is arrogant, but because he has taken the time to know himself. He has weighed his convictions, tested his character, and refined his purpose. And so, when others doubt, when others hesitate, when others crumble under pressure, he moves forward with unwavering confidence. His strength is not borrowed. It is his own, cultivated through years of self-discipline and quiet reflection. True power is not in the loud voice, nor in the clenched fist, nor in the fleeting strength of youth. True power is in the man who has learned to master himself, who has deepened his roots so that no storm may uproot him. This strength cannot be bought, nor can it be imitated. It is the reward of the one who has dared to turn inward, who has done the hard work of self-examination, who has chosen to grow where others have chosen to remain shallow. Such a man will stand when others fall. He will endure when others falter, and in the end, when all else fades, his strength will remain, unshaken, unbreakable, everlasting. The world is never silent. It roars with the voices of those who think they know best, who believe they have the right to shape your thoughts, dictate your actions, and decide your worth. It is filled with opinions, some whispered, others shouted, each one demanding to be heard, each one seeking to sway your heart. Many live as prisoners to these voices, constantly adjusting themselves to fit the expectations of others. Their joy rises and falls with the approval of the crowd. Their confidence is shattered by the sting of criticism. They are like a leaf in the wind, carried wherever the breeze of public opinion may take them. But the one who has turned inward, who has come to know themselves with certainty, is not so easily moved. They stand firm, their foundation rooted, not in the applause of the world, but in the quiet assurance of their own soul. To be free from the tyranny of external opinions is one of the greatest strengths a person can possess. How many have been paralyzed by the fear of what others may think? How many have held back their true selves, concealed their deepest convictions, and silenced their own voices simply to avoid judgment? The man who has not mastered this fear lives as a servant to the expectations of others. He does not act according to his own wisdom, but according to the shifting whims of the crowd. He may desire to walk one path, but if others disapprove, he hesitates. He may know the truth, but if it is unpopular, he remains silent. Such a man is never truly free, for he has placed his sense of worth into the hands of those who may at any moment withdraw it. But consider the strength of the one who is unmoved by the fleeting judgments of others. He walks with a quiet confidence, undisturbed by either praise or condemnation. If men speak well of him, he does not grow proud. If they speak ill, he does not despair. He does not live for the approval of the many, nor does he crumble under the disapproval of the few. His sense of self is not something given to him by others. It is something he has built through deep reflection and unwavering conviction. He knows who he is, and because of this, no voice can shake him from his course. This strength is not born in a single moment. It is cultivated through years of self-examination and deliberate choice. It requires one to turn away from the endless noise of the world and listen to the still, small voice within. It requires one to ask the hard questions. Who am I apart from the opinions of others? What do I truly value? What do I stand for, even if I must stand alone? Many avoid such questions, for they fear what they may find. It is easier to let others define us than to face the work of defining ourselves. But the one who dares to do this work will find a strength that cannot be taken away. When a man becomes resilient to external opinions, he is no longer controlled by flattery. He does not seek the approval of the world to affirm his worth. He does not need constant validation, nor does he crumble when admiration fades. Many build their sense of confidence upon the shifting sands of praise, but when that praise is withdrawn, they are left empty, questioning their own value. The truly strong man, however, is not made weak by neglect, nor is he made proud by attention. His strength is steady, his confidence unwavering, for it is rooted in something deeper than the opinions of others. It is rooted in his own understanding of himself. And what of criticism? The man who has not learned to stand firm will shrink under the weight of even the smallest judgment. A single harsh word may send him into a storm of doubt. The disapproval of a few may cause him to abandon his convictions. But the man who knows himself sees criticism for what it is, sometimes useful, often misguided, but never defining. He listens where wisdom may be found, but he does not allow the careless words of others to dictate his course. He does not live in fear of being misunderstood, nor does he seek to explain himself to those who are determined to misjudge him. He walks his path with certainty, undistracted by the murmurs of the crowd. To be truly free is to live in such a way that no opinion, whether favorable or harsh, has the power to shape your identity. This does not mean one is stubborn or unwilling to grow. On the contrary, the one who knows themselves is always learning, always refining, always seeking wisdom. But they are not tossed about by the ever-changing standards of the world. They do not seek to fit into every mold or please every voice. They have found their purpose, and they walk in it with quiet confidence. The world will always have its opinions, its judgments, its fleeting approvals and fickle condemnations, but the one who has turned inward, who has come to know their own mind and heart, walks on undisturbed. They are not ruled by the voices of the many, nor do they bend beneath the weight of disapproval. They have built their foundation deep, where no storm can shake it, and so, while others rise and fall with the shifting tides of public opinion, they stand unshaken, untroubled, and free. There is a vision that goes beyond what the eyes can perceive, a sight that is not dependent upon light, nor hindered by darkness. It is the vision of the soul, the quiet perception that discerns truth without the need for explanation. This is intuition, that deep and mysterious knowing which guides a man when logic falls short. Many dismiss it as mere feeling, something vague and unreliable, but the one who has cultivated self-awareness understands that intuition is not mere emotion. It is wisdom woven into the fabric of the soul, a voice that speaks without words, directing a man's steps with certainty. Yet, intuition is not granted to all in equal measure. Some move through life blind to its whispers, stumbling into pitfalls that could have been avoided, walking into deceptions that should have been foreseen. Their minds are cluttered with noise, their hearts are restless with distractions, and so they cannot hear the silent wisdom that would warn them before disaster strikes. But the one who has turned inward, who has silenced the distractions of the world long enough to listen, finds that their intuition grows sharper, their perception clearer. Where others hesitate, they move with quiet confidence. Where others are deceived, they discern the truth. It is not that they have been given some unnatural power, but rather that they have cleared away the fog of external influences and learned to trust the wisdom that has always been within. A man who knows himself deeply is not easily fooled, for his intuition warns him before deception can take hold. He can sense when words are empty, when intentions are impure, when an opportunity that appears golden is laced with unseen thorns. He does not need lengthy explanations to perceive what others overlook. He has trained his mind to be still, to observe, to listen beyond the surface, and so he sees with an inner clarity that is denied to those who rush through life without reflection. This intuition also acts as a guide in decision-making. Many are paralyzed by choices, endlessly weighing options, seeking advice from every possible source, afraid to move forward for fear of making the wrong step. But the one whose intuition is sharp does not flounder in indecision. He listens, he considers, but ultimately he trusts the deep knowing within himself. He is not reckless, but neither is he enslaved by the fear of error. He moves forward with faith in his own perception, knowing that even if mistakes are made, his inner wisdom will adjust his course in time. There is a power in this sharpened intuition that cannot be easily explained, and for that reason many doubt its existence. The world teaches that only what is seen, measured, and proven can be trusted. Yet, how many times has a man ignored his own inner warning, only to regret it later? How many times has something felt off, yet because there was no visible reason to be concerned, the warning was dismissed, only for the truth to reveal itself too late? The wise man does not ignore these inner signals. He knows that intuition is not an illusion, but a finely tuned instrument, given to those who have learned to listen. And what of those who scoff at intuition, who place all their trust in logic alone? They may have knowledge, but knowledge without insight is a dim and faltering light. They may have intellect, but intellect without perception is like a blade without an edge, sharp in appearance, but useless when true discernment is required. The one who sharpens his intuition walks with both knowledge and wisdom, intellect and perception, reason and inner knowing. He is not bound by the limits of what can be explained, for he understands that the greatest truths are often felt before they are understood. This sharpened inner sight does more than protect a man from deception. It also leads him to opportunities that others fail to recognize. Many doors stand before men, yet only some will walk through the right one. To the undiscerning all paths may look the same, or worse, the wrong path may seem the most appealing. But the one who has trained himself to listen to his intuition knows which way to go. He senses the right moment to act, the right time to speak, the right place to be. He is not merely lucky, he is aligned with the deeper wisdom that guides those who seek it. But intuition is not developed in noise and haste. It is refined in stillness, in reflection, in the quiet moments when one listens to their own soul without distraction. The world offers 1,000 voices, each claiming to have the answer, but the one who hones his intuition learns to filter through the noise, to separate what is useful from what is false, to hear the deeper truths that are so often drowned out by the clamor of external influences. And so, the man who sharpens his intuition is never truly lost. Even when the path ahead is unclear, even when uncertainty looms, he has a compass within him that keeps him steady. He does not need the constant reassurance of others, nor does he demand endless signs before taking a step. He moves forward with quiet confidence, knowing that his inner wisdom is enough. The world may question his choices, but in time they will see that his steps were not taken blindly, but with an unseen guidance that led him exactly where he was meant to go. This is the power of intuition, not as some mystical force reserved for the rare few, but as a natural gift given to all, yet only sharpened by those who take the time to cultivate it. The more one turns inward, the keener their sight becomes. The more they listen, the clearer they hear, and in a world where many stumble in confusion, the one with sharpened intuition walks with certainty, never lost, never deceived, always one step ahead. An intuition is always one step ahead. There is a vast difference between the one who merely moves and the one who moves with purpose. Many walk through life as though drifting upon the sea, carried by whichever current happens to be strongest. They go where the wind blows, pulled in different directions by the expectations of others, by fleeting desires, by the pressures of the world. They step forward not because they know where they are going, but because motion itself is expected, yet their steps lack meaning, their direction lacks certainty, and so they live without true fulfillment. But the one who has turned inward, who has trained his mind in self-awareness, does not move without reason. He walks with purpose, each step deliberate, each decision grounded in conviction. He is not carried by the tides of circumstance, but by the firm resolve of knowing exactly where he is meant to go. To walk with purpose is to possess an unshakable clarity about one's direction in life. This does not mean that the path is always easy, nor does it mean that every detail of the journey is known in advance. Rather, it means that the heart has been settled, that the mind has been trained, and that the soul has been anchored to something deeper than mere impulse. The one who walks with conviction does not waver in the face of uncertainty. He is not easily swayed by distractions, nor does he allow himself to be led astray by every new opportunity that presents itself. He has taken the time to understand his values, his principles, and his purpose, and so his steps are steady, unwavering, and full of meaning. It is a rare thing to find a man of true conviction, for the world is filled with those who hesitate, who second-guess, who allow doubt to dictate their every move. They fear making mistakes, and so they make no real decisions at all. They wait for perfect clarity before acting, and in doing so they allow time to pass them by. But the one who has sharpened his awareness knows that waiting for absolute certainty is a form of paralysis. He understands that conviction is not about knowing every step in advance. It is about trusting in the strength of one's purpose, even when the road ahead is unclear. And how does one cultivate such a sense of direction? It is not by blindly chasing the expectations of others, nor is it by conforming to the standards set by the world. No, true conviction is found in solitude, in reflection, in the deliberate act of knowing one's self. The man who walks with purpose has spent time in deep contemplation, questioning his motives, examining his desires, refining his understanding of what truly matters. He does not rush forward without thought, nor does he hesitate in fear. He moves because he has determined within the depths of his soul that his path is the right one. Such a man is not easily deterred. When opposition arises, as it inevitably will, he does not falter. Others may question him, mock him, or attempt to dissuade him, but their words do not shake his foundation. For he does not draw his conviction from the approval of the crowd, but from the certainty that has been built within him through years of self-discipline and inner reflection. He is not arrogant, but he is resolute. He does not claim to be without fault, but he does not allow fear of failure to keep him from pressing forward. There is a strength in walking with purpose that cannot be imitated. Some may attempt to feign confidence, to move boldly even when their hearts are filled with doubt. But false conviction crumbles in the face of adversity. The one who has not truly examined his path will turn back the moment difficulty arises. The one who has borrowed his convictions from others will abandon them as soon as they are challenged. But the man whose purpose has been forged in the fires of self-awareness does not retreat. He knows that struggles will come, that obstacles will rise, but he also knows that his purpose is greater than the trials he may face. Walking with conviction does not mean one is inflexible or unwilling to grow. On the contrary, the truly purposeful man is always learning, always refining, always seeking deeper wisdom. But his learning does not shake his foundation, it strengthens it. He is not like the man who is tossed about by every new philosophy, who shifts his values based on the latest trends. No, he remains steadfast in what he has determined to be true, while still allowing himself the humility to grow in understanding. And what of those who wander without direction? They may appear busy, constantly moving, constantly engaged in new pursuits, yet their steps lack depth, their efforts lack fulfillment. They chase one thing today and another tomorrow, never staying the course long enough to see the fruits of their labor. They start many things but finish few. They speak of ambition, yet their actions betray a lack of true commitment. The man of purpose, however, does not waste his energy in 100 different directions. He is focused, disciplined, committed to the path he has chosen. The difference between a man who walks with conviction and one who merely exists is evident in the way they carry themselves. The aimless man hesitates, his eyes darting about as if searching for validation. His voice is uncertain, his actions inconsistent. But the man of purpose stands tall, his steps firm, his presence unmistakable. He does not need to announce his confidence. It is seen in the way he moves, in the way he speaks, in the way he remains undeterred, even when others doubt him. A life without purpose is a life wasted. Many reach the end of their days realizing they have lived not by their own convictions but by the expectations of others. They regret the steps they never took, the dreams they never pursued, the truths they never embraced. But the one who has walked with purpose has no such regrets. He may have faced struggles, he may have endured hardships, but he has lived with intention, and that alone brings a peace that cannot be found in a life of wandering. And so the man who has trained his mind in self-awareness walks with a strength that cannot be shaken. He does not move aimlessly, but with unwavering direction. He does not waver in uncertainty, but presses on with conviction. His steps are deliberate, his purpose unyielding, his path chosen, not by the expectations of the world, but by the calling of his own soul. In a world filled with those who stumble blindly, he strides forward with certainty, knowing exactly where he is meant to go.